Well, hi. Here we are. We're live. And an interesting thing was happening with this wonderful live stream. And so I take those as signs, right? Like I'm in a rush, so I wanted it to start immediately. And as soon as that happens, I'm like, oh, well, there's a reason that's not happening so quickly. So what I did was I took out my little wisdom chakra and I smelled it. So, you got to take a minute, right? To like smell. Sometimes the roses and sometimes the chakra. So I smelled it and it's beautiful. And it's the wisdom blend because, and it says to remember to smile from your heart. So I'm smiling from my heart with you right now. And I did take a breath before I decided to do this live stream because I was forced to, something was telling me to slow down. So I slowed down and I was breathing. Okay, today was really, today was filled with all different kinds of emotions. Let's start there. My 7 o'clock meeting at Bel Air Coffee Company with my dear buddies at DuPont Registry, we talked all agenda. Then we had a 9:30 sales meeting, and then I interviewed somebody at 11:30, a speech therapist. That was an interesting interview. A New Yorker. She was loud. She was lovely. She was loud. And I was just thinking, am I like a real Floridian now and I'm sensitive to this New York loud thing? Not that it's gone away much for me, but I don't think I'm loud. Anyway, I think too much. How about that? So then today we do our podcast, our DuPont cast every Tuesday out of DuPont Registry. And today we interviewed Susan, who is the community director for Gracepoint Wellness, Gracepoint Foundation. And they are the benefactor for our event that we're having on August 24th at DuPont Registry. And it's a preventative lifestyle. That's the name of it. I believe I've mentioned it enough on this vlog. I'm hoping that you join us so we can continue this very important discussion about mental health, right? And prevention and resources and solutions, and very, very strong topic to cover. As the health and wellness editor of DuPont Registry, Luxury Living of Tampa Bay, I am honored to be able to have these kinds of discussions because the more we talk about it and the more we educate our community, the less stigma there is out there. And I have to say, I was so impressed. I'm not even impressed anymore. I have the great honor of knowing Mr. Tom DuPont, and we had this great little mini meeting before we started this podcast today about associating the brand that he has with this type of discussion. And he's so right, because, it isn't until business owners, entrepreneurs, people at a certain level of success start bringing light to these types of very sensitive issues that we start removing that stigma. And it's going to take a long time, and that's okay. We're ready and willing and able to do it. So I am honored. I was very honored to be a part of the discussion today. It wasn't, there's nothing sexy about talking about mental health, about suicide. And if you were on Facebook today or the social media, you got to hear Sinead O'Connor put out this Facebook post about her suffering. And I certainly relate to that on a lot of different levels, which I will discuss more on Friday, August 11th. So I hope you tune in. But besides that, running a pediatric office for a long time and seeing all these children suffering, teenagers especially, the parents suffering and not knowing what to do and not knowing where to go, it is a huge weight off of my shoulders actually to be able to talk about this, because there is no stigma and I have no problems talking about this with anybody. Because I don't know anybody in the world, well, in my world anyway, that isn't affected somehow by what we were talking about today on the podcast. So I left the link in the show notes, we'll call them, to where you could see the Facebook live stream that we did. And, you know, it was a very powerful conversation about really just getting the word out there and what we're trying to accomplish with this panel discussion on the 24th of August. I'm plugging again, I know. I can't help that. I am a sales girl in my heart of hearts. One of my first bosses told me that. You're in the wrong field, Missy. You should be in sales. Bob Pullman, I remember. And I should have, because I would have sold the hell out of those phone systems that you were trying to get me to sell. But anyway, this was a very enlightening day. There is a lot of stigma and ignorance, a lot of ignorance that goes on around mental health and discussing it. And people that have not maybe been affected by it don't really understand. So you can't really take personally maybe what commentary is said about understanding somebody that is sick and suffering. The two musicians recently that killed themselves from Soundgarden and Linkin Park. A lot of, you know, buzz out there about that it's such a selfish act. I was going to say selfless, but it actually is more selfless. But that's a whole other Oprah episode, okay? And Oprah's not on anymore. Well, she is. She has her own network, but I don't watch it anymore. I'm sorry. I was completely obsessed with Oprah for like forever. Since she started until the very last day. I watched the very last episode with Sharon Deacon, and we cried, and it was very moving. And I went to Oprah Harpo Studios in Chicago with my husband and family and bought stuff before they went out of business. They didn't go out of business. She owns her own channel now. But anyway, I digress. I am in a rush. I do have to go somewhere, but I wasn't going to go until I said, as emotional as today was and serious as it was, this morning I felt this really weird energy around me that I couldn't get away from. And I realize now what it was, you know, I knew that I was going to be pulled into talking about these types of things. And like, I'm very lighthearted and fun, and I'm always making fun of myself and usually everybody around me. So for me to have that serious moment, it was very like reverent to me. It felt very authentic and real and wonderful that we were discussing something so very close to home for so many people. And I'm just honored to be a part of. That's it. I'm honored to be a part of. That's what I want to say. I hope that anybody that has been affected by, you know, what goes on with mental health, addiction, whatever it is, you know, that there are resources out there. And here in Tampa Bay, there's Gracepoint. So look them up. They are an incredible organization in Tampa. So with that, we'll talk more about it the rest of the week, I'm sure, as it's been a theme lately. But, you know, pray for those that might not be as fortunate as you. Have a great night.